Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the birthday edition of Cheap Seat Booking. I am Matt. I am celebrating my 25th anniversary of turning 22 today. It's not denial, it's a streak, okay? That's just the way we do things around here. We're wrestling fans, and wrestling fans like streaks. You know what? There's an underwear joke in there, but we're just going to skip ahead. So welcoming back to the studio, Alex and Jason. Alex out of Philly, Jason from Northern Washington, just about an hour down the road. But going even further north, the current reigning defending TAW North of 60 champion, we have the NolerBear with us from the Arctic Circle. And Jeff is joining us for the first time. Jeff, you're just outside of Chicago, aren't you? Or am I fucked that up?
No, you're good. Just south of Springfield, Illinois.
Springfield, Illinois. So we got our Illinois presence back since we lost our Jamal down to Georgia a couple years ago. Gentlemen, how you doing? What's going on with you? Everybody's good? Everybody's
great, yeah.
Everybody lived through this era. We were watching. This was the second to last great boom, because I honestly think we are in a huge boom period for wrestling right now. It's worked out a little different, where it's not just a couple of guys drawing money. It's every organization everywhere able to get to us, and that is fucking rad. We had the Monday Night Wars going on. It was a little difficult, unless you were in Canada, because the same station played the same shows. Both organizations were on TSN, so I just had to wait 2 days to get WCW. So all those spoilers Bischoff pulled didn't work up here.
Nope.
Right?
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, it really was. But arguably this boom period did start with the NWO. That was really the first big shift. So I think what we're going to do is I'm going to run the list. 3 votes they're in. I'll run a ticker tape across the bottom. However, does anybody object to just ignoring the first 3 members, Hogan, Hall, and Nash? I don't think the NWO is the NWO without those 3 guys.
No, they're in.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Because, you had the cool factor, you had the jump factor of Hall and Nash, and you couldn't have picked another third man. For those of you who listen to Eric Bischoff's show, a lot of time he gets asked, if not Hogan, then who? Nothing would have worked. It would not have had that shock factor, that, but wait, what he did what now? Factor of Hulk Hogan, changes his entire look, changes his entire personality. Anybody else, you can call it Sting, Mabel. I know Dave Meltzer was absolutely sure it was going to be Mabel. Nobody else would have worked. You needed a guy the stature of Hogan. All right, so it didn't take too long. According to my notes, August 26, 1996, they brought out the 4th member of the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. You know what? Let's start with Alex here, clockwise on my screen. Alex, in or out, Ted DiBiase?
Out. Not needed.
Jason?
I mean,
go ahead, Alex.
I mean, to me, like, I don't know if we'll cross on this, but like, for the money aspect, you have Bischoff. You don't need DiBiase at all. He's out.
Jason?
Yeah, it's a tough call. I mean, the credibility that he brings, the history, the knowledge of the business, but it didn't fit for the NWO, my opinion.
NolerBear?
Yeah, I think like just with the stature of the first 3, they have enough credibility right off the bat. So I don't think the $1 Million Man really it didn't really add that much more to it, in my opinion, anyway.
All right, Jeff, you gonna send up a big goose egg on Ted DiBiase here? You're gonna give him a point?
Oh, okay. So I guess with Ted DiBiase, I guess you could throw in there. You also kind of got Vincent because of it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we'll get there.
So, yeah, I think I'm going to agree with Alex too on the Bischoff statement. So you really don't need that money guy or that head guy, because you already got it when you get Bischoff. So I love Ted. I've met him. He's a good, great guy and everything else. But yeah, I'm going to say they didn't need him, because he ends up leaving and going to the Steiners anyways. So,
and I thought that was a much better fit, personally.
Yep.
Right. So we still got our original 3. All right. And then going to September of 96, we have the largest athlete in the world, at least at the time. The Big Show, the Giant, Paul White, Captain Insano, whatever you want to call him. For me, I'm giving him a point because I think he's one of the first guys that really benefited from the NWO rub. Let's go backwards. The other Jeff.
Well, he also got treated dirty every time it seemed like he was in the group.
Yeah,
He
and
gets,
let's be clear here as well. He did have 3 stints, 2 in WCW and 1 in the WWE. So
okay. Yeah, I'm gonna keep him as well. I like it. It was a different thing for him, because he was with the Dungeon before
yeah,
that,
the
I
Dungeon
think.
of Doom. Yep.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say yes, keep him because I feel like he needed an NWO more than he needed like the Dungeon or something like that. Because he was young, super green, and he needed it. Got to work with some
Absolutely.
veterans.
He's one of those guys that's had his first matches on TV. And let's not forget, one of those first matches, if not his very first match, was against Hulk Hogan. So,
Yeah.
NolerBear, how you feeling about this?
I agree with the both of you. I think he definitely needed the NWO to build him up to his future in wrestling for sure.
All right, so that's 3 for him. Jason, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah,
Or
I'll
take
just
away?
yeah, I mean, yeah, I think he's in. It definitely showed a different side of his personality as well, and helped propel him obviously to a main event level. So yeah, he's in.
All right, Alex, we going 4-0 on the Giant, or are you going to put a mark on his record? You going to Brock Lesnar this?
I kind of want to because, like, as far as I'm concerned, like, exactly what they did was perfect. Like, he was in there, they did him dirty, and they kicked him out, and I think that was what propelled him. But, like, I didn't like him in the NWO. I liked the fact that he was the Giant. He didn't need nobody. He's bigger than everyone. So I liked what they did with him, which ultimately I think is a no. So I'm going to say no.
All right. So the Giant does go in, but we do have dissension in the ranks and some very good points. So thank you for Alex for bringing that up. Now, member number 6 is a bit odd because in some listings, according to his appearance on September the 9th, it's the fake Sting. So how do we feel about that? The fake Sting. I'm going no. I don't think it needed to happen. Jason?
Yeah, it was good for a quick little angle or storyline, but as far as a member,
NolerBear, anything?
No, I agree. I think, yeah, I don't think it just didn't need to happen. I don't think.
Right. And Jeff, anything?
With Jason, I think it was a cool little thing to do for that like one-off type thing. And then I know he was in the Japanese version, I think, a lot more.
Yep.
Made a lot more appearances there. So, I mean, maybe for the Japanese NWO, yes, but for the NWO, no.
Yeah, because
I don't
there's
think they
another
needed it.
interesting name that does pop up when we get down to the Japanese, the NJPW roster. There's a very interesting name that I didn't know happened, but we will definitely get to that. So with the Japanese version, I understand that. I can get behind that, but for the main version, Alex, anything extra?
I hated fake Sting so much. Like I hated it. Like I'm with Jason. I would make that so short. I would make it like maybe a 1 month thing of is it Sting, is it not, and then just blow it off at a pay-per-view of the real Sting kills the fake Sting and
Mm-hmm.
make it go
Well,
away. No.
let's not forget WCW. Everybody's an immortal. Big Show did get thrown off the roof of a building, so
Correct.
that is a thing that happened. All right, and so according to other listings, because they don't recognize the fake Sting any more than we're going to, the 6th member of the NWO, the 1, 2, 3 kid, Sean Waltman, aka 6, in the NWO. NolerBear, what do you think?
I loved seeing him in NWO, and I think I would love to keep him in there. He's just his character alone. Like in all incarnations that he's done in his wrestling career, I think he's done so well in all of them.
Okay, so NolerBear's got one on the pro side. Alex, how do you feel?
100%. I think in that time in WCW, they had like a huge cruiserweight moment. And, everyone had their cruiserweight spot, and he was the cruiserweight of NWO. He was absolutely necessary. Totally in.
Mm-hmm. Jeff, how you feel?
Yep, I agree. And he has that charisma, that kind of swagger, that that type of thing that fits, and especially his stuff with Hall and Nash already. So I'm gonna go
Well,
ahead.
I mean, that is key too, right? And we will get further into discussions about this later in the listing. It's Hall, it's Nash, it's Six, Sean Waltman, X-Pac, 1, 2, 3 Kid, and those guys were notoriously tight in the WWE. And we will get to a few more names in there as well. Jason, you gonna go 5-0 for us, or are you gonna dissent on
I
Mr.
mean,
Waltman?
to me, it's kind of a no-brainer. Yeah, obviously. I mean, he was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame along with the other members of the NWO. So, yeah, I mean, it's a given.
All right, so that's 5-0 for Six. So we are currently sitting at 6 members. And according to our banner at the bottom, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, Hulk Hogan, the Giant. Oh, pardon me, 5. The Giant and 6. So we've eliminated 2 so far. This is going to get a lot easier and a lot quicker shortly. Starting with member number 8, he was mentioned already from the WWE, known as Virgil. He gets another inside joke name as Vincent. We we lost him a year ago. The wonderfully dynamic Mike Jones, aka Vincent. Jeff, how you feel?
No, I I know he helped do some different things, but I'm just gonna have to flat out say no. If Ted's not on there, then I don't see how we can do Vincent. So sorry.
Yep. Alex?
I kind of had him on my off list, but I would have liked him to be some kind of recruiter type guy or something for the NWO maybe, but overall no.
Yep. Jason?
Yeah, just to piggyback, he would be an honorable mention. I mean, he did add something, although most of the time he didn't. But he definitely had a few moments here and there. But honorable mention, yes, but member, no.
Yep. NolerBear?
I'd have to echo everything that's been said. So yeah,
Yep.
It's a no for me.
Yeah, so we're going 0 for 5 on Vincent. He did add, because somebody has to get their ass beat every week. Somebody needs to be that rubber ball.
Sounds the bump guy.
Yeah, if we look at it like a motorcycle club, maybe he's in that prospect division. And there's a few more on this list where it's like, yeah, send the Pro B to do it. When that's it. You ain't getting colors. You're just gonna be out there because we don't want to get punched in the face. All right. So here's an interesting one. She did no more for the NWO than she really did in the WWE. Miss Elizabeth. Jason, how you feel about this? She was back to cuddling up with Hulkster at the time. Liz in the NWO.
Yeah, I mean, oof, that's kind of a borderline one. I mean, she did add some credibility, beauty and kind of a valet position in the NWO. But I mean, I'm gonna again honorable mention, prospect member of a biker club.
Yeah.
So I'll say no.
NolerBear.
I don't know. I think being able to add her in there, just just add something a little bit different, especially for having that ballet and stuff like that. So I would say yeah to Miss Elizabeth.
All right, here we go. Now we're getting it. We're neck and neck here. It's 1-1. Alex, how do you feel?
I could go without her. I mean, I dressed up as her for the cruise, but other than
Yes,
that,
you did.
pass.
Yes, you very much did. So sorry, I had a flashback there. What? So are we a yay or nay out of Philly?
Nay.
You're a nay. Jeff, how do you feel?
I'm going to make this interesting, and I'm going to say yes. but I'm going to say yes for the fact that, yes, she gave the valet, she gave kind of the girl status that, everybody kind of seemed to have at the time, a good looking woman and stuff like that with them. And then also, I'm going to throw it in there for the fact that it helped piss off Macho Man Randy Savage.
See, I like where you're thinking with the storyline aspects of it, and that this is going to make the list a little more interesting as we go. I like what you're thinking. To me, Liz was always fun to look at. She was this gem of a human being that was with this absolute brute. It was almost like an after school special on Be Careful of Who You Go Home With at times. I like Jason, and I'm a little split on this one. It's tough for me, but I've landed in that tiebreaker position. Yeah, you know what? Jeff's point of it, because it would piss off the Macho Man, really makes a lot of sense to me. So absolutely, I'm going to add Miss Liz to this one. Yeah, that was an excellent thing to have a prolonged feud, especially since we know Hogan and Savage had a roller coaster of a relationship, shall we say?
Yes.
All right, moving along. The big
Rachel
reveal. What's that?
I said Rachel went by. She says hello.
Oh, hi, Rachel.
They said hello, Rachel.
All right, so here we're getting into the most interesting one. We've already mentioned his name, Eric Bischoff. As just having broken the tie, I'm going to go, yeah, he was a good money man. If they had pulled this reveal just a little bit better, I think it would be one of the all-time great moments. If they had set it up a little bit more like Vince being the higher power, except this one didn't suck. If they had dragged it out just a little bit more to have that reveal, I think it would have gone well. I'm giving Eric Bischoff his first yes vote on this one. Jeff, how you feel?
Yep, I'm with it. That was part of my Ted DiBiase, so yeah, I'm saying Bischoff in.
Alex?
I agree with you, Matt, 100%. Like, it fit so well. And, just like you said, if they did the reveal just a little bit better, it would have been fine. But what they did still worked. Absolutely in.
Jason?
Yeah, I mean, he brought in that smarmy little, weasel aspect that you just wanted to punch right in the face. Borderline X-Pac heat sometimes.
Yes.
But, yeah, and I agree. I mean, the way they set it up could have been a lot better. But, having that money power figure, yeah, I mean, yeah, he's in for sure.
Yep. NolerBear, are we going 4-1 or 5-0?
I think we're going 5-0. I think, like, echoing Jason, just like having that weasel that you just want to get at really added to it, as well as just like what the everyone else had said, just like that money man for that group.
Yep, and I think that not just that, but having the money man, like you said, having that weasel heel, but the corrupt power figure, corrupt authority figure. J.J. Dillon did a great job countering that.
Yes.
Which, there's going to be some horseman talk as we get further into this list. But I think if they had run that just a hair differently, they could have really had something with a large NWO group. So, yeah, Eric Bischoff going in. I don't think there's any surprises there. Here comes another guy that I personally think is quite possibly the NWO benefited the absolute most. Marcus Alexander Buff Bagwell. NolerBear, his Buff the stuff, or is Buff headed to the lunch line?
I think I would keep him. I mean, it's just like having like a guy like him is just like that, just adding another character into the mix. I think for me made it really well done.
Yeah. Jeff?
Yeah, I kind of equate Buff to the NWO. I mean, I do remember him when he was, Marcus Bagwell and doing some other different stuff, but I kind of got to know, I don't know, just kind of, when I think of it, yeah, I think of him being in there. So I'm going to vote yes.
Yep. Okay, boys. So we're 3-0. He's in. What are your thoughts on Buff Bagwell, Alex?
I liked his whole look. I loved the giant top hat, and like I don't know, it just worked for him. And I just thought of him as like the mascot or the merch model or something. It
Yeah,
just
there you
worked for
go.
NWO.
Mm-hmm.
He just worked. I can't describe it, but yes.
No, I think you summed that up pretty well, Jason.
Yeah, this is a mixed one. I mean, I remember watching it, and I believe if you could refresh my memory, I think Bischoff came out and said if anybody comes out, or there was a bunch of guys coming out, and that if if you didn't side with the NWO, then you were either fired or beat up or something like that. And then I remember it was Buff Bagwell, and it was like, I don't know, it's
Yeah, and then he turned on his American Males tag partner,
Yep.
right?
yeah.
They were
So,
talking to him and Riggs, and he decided that he was done with the American Males. Yeah,
but
I mean, I think
he brought that over the top aspect too. I mean, like you
Mhm.
said, with the top hat, the over the top personality. So, I mean, if I had to vote, he's for me, he's borderline. If I have to vote, I'd say no.
Okay. I appreciate that. I think a lot of the things that have been said are very valid. I get the borderline thing. I think the NWO he came out of his shell. Is one of probably the two biggest NWO members to find the NWO and come out of their shell. We will get to, in my opinion, the biggest one, but I'm going to say Buff's the stuff. So our mascot gets to say, and he bounces pretty well. So like nobody is gonna be upset if Buff gets bounced across the ring. Well, the Hulkster slips out. So
Yep. Bump guy.
exactly. Mike Wall Street, IRS. Oh, I'm gonna be honest with you. I must have. My notes say he was in the NWO for 4 months. I honestly do not remember him being in the NWO.
I do.
Barely,
I'm
yeah.
sure if we went
barely.
back and watched some of those group openings, I go, oh yeah, there's IRS in the background there. But I don't think he was getting a whole lot of TV time. So, I'm going to send him home to raise a little baby Bray and little baby Bo and say Nigno to Mike Wall Street. Alex, how do you feel?
I think his whole function was to carry the briefcase of money for 4 months. I'll pass.
Mm-hmm. Now briefcase guys, you might want a briefcase guy if you're in WWE. I'm just saying that seems to be a thing. Jason, how you feel about old Mike Wall Street?
Yeah, it's a big no. I mean, he was like, hey, we have nothing to do. Well, we have nothing for this guy. Let's just, shove him in the NWO, and maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. But God, it did not work.
Yeah, and I feel like that statement is going to start coming up a lot as we get a little deeper into this list. NolerBear?
Yeah, I agree, Matt. It's just like I definitely forgot that he was in the NWO until like actually researching it. Yeah, so I'm gonna say no.
And Jeff, how you feeling? Anything to add?
Well, yes. No on NWO, because same
Mhm.
thing. Blink and you missed him. I think he
Yep.
was part of that contract signing. Hey, sign your contract to NWO or else we're beating your ass and all this and that. But I will point out, I think he lasted longer in the Japanese version.
Yes, he is on my notes as being over in. So maybe that's why we blinked and we missed it. He was in NWO, but he was doing Japanese tours.
That's kind of what I was thinking as well. So yes, I'm going to say no there, but kind of that honorable mention, New Japan version, I'll say
Right.
possible.
And in today's day and age, with the easy access we have to multiple countries wrestling content, I wonder if the NWO Japan would be a little more noteworthy for those of us on this side of the ocean. But back then, tape traders, like you couldn't find it. It was tough. Tape traders and magazines. I don't think I saw a New Japan show until YouTube became a thing. So
Yeah.
it was all print from what I saw. All right, here comes another one. Oh, I remember him being in the NWO for about a week, and then it took me another couple weeks before I could actually picture who Ray Traylor was elsewhere. Ray Traylor, the big boss man, Big Bubba. He spent a grand total of 4 months in the NWO. Jason, how do you feel about the boss man here?
No, I mean, same thing like Mike Rotunda. It's forced and just did not work.
Yep. Jeff?
No, I agree as well. He's part of that same thing that we just talked about with Mike, with Wall Street and things like that. They brought him over just to do something with him. So I do remember seeing him more in there than I remember Wall Street. But yeah, I'm going to vote no.
Alex?
Yeah, I'm saying no too, and unlike Jeff, I don't remember him at all. Like I remember Wall Street a little bit. I don't remember seeing Ray Traylor in NWO at all. Zero.
He was just taller. That's the only reason why.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, those were big opening segments for every week that a lot of us just started tuning out, right? NolerBear, anything to add on the Big Boss Man?
I love the Big Boss Man, but for NWO, I don't think so, though.
Yeah. All right. So that's fairly unanimous. So we're going to jump over to the NWO Japan listings right now because this guy was able to come over and do a bunch of nitros. So I decided to include him in on this one. Masahiro Chono, the leader of NWO Japan. Unless we're talking, I have more access to seeing this, I'm going to go no on Chono, which is going to make a bunch of my international wrestling fan buddies mad, but no on Chono for me. It's Alex.
I mean, when I was a kid and they told me that there was like an NWO Japan, I thought that was super cool, and I was like, I'll never be able to see it, but I'm glad that there is one there. I'll say yes, just because I love the idea of they were taking over the world and Chono started it in Japan.
I like that.
Fair point. Fair point. Jeff?
Ooh, okay. Just for the sake of it, I'm going to go the same with Alex and say yes because of that worldwide, international this and that angle. And, he was a good enough name to be able to have that. And with their cruiserweight division, with all the luchadors and different, people they were bringing in, yes, I think that helped a lot be able to, show that they were trying to actually mean that. So, yeah, I'm going to say yes.
All right, Chono getting some traction. So we're currently up. Chono is 2 up and 1 down. NolerBear, how's this gonna go?
I think I'd have to give him his third because I think, like, especially like what Alex brought up with that worldwide just aspect of.
We lost him.
Oh, I think the Arctic internet has struck. But yeah, we got a third. We got a third vote. So Chono is in. Jason, is this? Did Noel give a preemptive tiebreaker, or
Can you guys
is it
hear
me
me?
being? Yeah, there. Yeah, you're back. We got you.
Yeah, it's a yeah for me, just to like provide a little bit of eyes for us of the international aspect of NWO.
I like that point, Jason.
So twofold here. Had they built him up or explained to the American audience who this guy is, the history of Chono, the badass that he was, he just appeared on a Nitro with an NWO shirt, if memory serves correctly, of course.
Yep.
Yeah, I think so.
And to the majority of people, it's like, who is this guy? So no backstory. That really hurt him. However, if I remember correctly, listening to Bischoff, that the NWO shirts in Japan were just like a huge selling point. They made tons of money off of it. So, if we're going to split hairs here, I would have to say no, because really, I mean, for New Japan, yes, but for the American version, no. So I will lean towards the no.
All right. So, I mean, he's still in, and I think we all have the same sort of thought here, is that international aspect. Had there been a little more accessibility, it might have worked out better for us. But I mean, really, the international aspect is not the only thing the Bullet Club copied from the NWO. And I think the success of the Bullet Club really leads into what we're talking about here, where you can be successful if you are able to bring the product to everybody. So we're going to go with Chono, even though Jason and I are on the outs with him. Here's an interesting one. This is going to dial back to another one of our votees, another member here, the Macho Man Randy Savage. To me, he jumped in really, really early. It took less than a year before he just flip flopped. I'm going no, because I think a part of the problem with the NWO is they didn't leave enough on the other side of the locker room to really propel it. And with the Miss Elizabeth factor, absolutely. The only one it really hurts is we don't get to see him and Paige was made there. But Macho Man Randy Savage, I'm going to no. Let's go alphabetically this time. Alex?
I love the look of the black and white Macho Man, but other than that, I'll say no. Like, to me, he's Team WCW. It just feels right.
Mm-hmm. And lining up the bandana with his sunglasses was a pretty sweet move.
So good.
Jason?
God, he's the Macho Man. You know what I mean? He brought so much credibility, but like as far as being the best character of his career, probably not. But for me, he's got to be in.
Okay. Jeff?
Whew. All right, what are we at here on our stuff?
We're at Mach is up 2-1 for going in.
Oh man, that is a tough one too, because there's been a lot of valid points already, because he does bring that star power and everything else. But kind of like my comment on the Elizabeth, I like it having a built-in storyline. I'm going no, just because I like him kind of on the other side of it. I
All
think
right,
it's better
NolerBear.
that way.
You had the preemptive tiebreaker last round. You have the actual tiebreaker this round. What's going on, buddy? How you feel about the Macho Man?
I think I'd have to keep him out because I do really like him as part of the opposite side of the NWO, like that Team WCW, like Alex mentioned. It's just like, yeah, I think it would have it suits him well to be better to be out of it for sure, in my eyes.
All right, so unfortunately, Mr. Savage is not going to be flying the black and white colors for us today, but that's cool.
Hated to
I
do
mean,
it,
he was very key to a lot of storylines. I mentioned Diamond Dallas Page. There is that built-in storyline with Hogan. He was in the ring when Hogan turned, and he was a catalyst to get us a second NWO. But I think that could have been done outside of having the NWO colors on him. I don't think the NWO and I don't think fighting Page would have really affected too much, but having the NWO versus DDP was the thing they were going with. All right, so we got a pair from the Japanese squads right now. First up, Tenzan. Don't even remember him at all. I remember a couple of nitros where he showed up, but I mean, maybe for the Japanese squad, but for the purposes of today, I don't know enough about the man. I'm going no on Tenzan. And NolerBear, you broke the tie, so where are we going on that?
I agree with you, Matt. I think I just don't know enough about him to be able to get him in the NWO.
All right, Jeff?
I'm going to say no as well. Kind of the same. Kind of heard name, but yeah, didn't really know much about it. And same thing, I think it'd be more of a Japanese type version. So,
All right. So Alex and Jason, it's up to you guys to see whether you're going to goose egg this poor Tenzan or if we're just going to go and complete unanimous vote. Jason?
Yeah, same deal with Chono. I mean, had they given some backstory, some understanding who this guy was, I mean, it could have been a lot bigger. So unfortunately, I'm going to say no.
Yep. And Alex?
I couldn't even tell you who that is. I might have been too
Yep.
young to even remember. It's like, just no. I don't even know.
Yep. Yeah. So I think, again, NWO Japan is the victim of North American TV rights at the time. Here's a very well-known Japanese wrestler that spent a lot of time in WCW and a little bit in the NWO. I vaguely remember this happening, but I think he was spending more time with New Japan Pro Wrestling. The Great Muta. I'm going to go no because I feel like he'd be better on the opposite side over in New Japan. I think he's the New Japan version of Randy Savage as far as the NWO goes. Jason, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, he didn't need the NWO, and the NWO really didn't need him. I mean, yeah, I mean, as far as the American side, I don't remember seeing him much, if ever, at all. So I'm gonna have to say no.
Okay. And Alex?
I'm gonna give him a no. I like the face paint the one time I saw it with the NWO face paint or whatever, but like
Mhm.
no, to me he's, like you said, maybe not Japanese Savage. To me he's more like Japanese Sting. And like
Okay. You know
I
what?
I need him defending
like
New
that.
Japan from the NWO.
Yep. Right. Jeff, you're nodding along. You got some thoughts there.
No, I'm with that. I like that idea. So I'm going to say
Yep.
no as well.
All right. And NolerBear.
I'm definitely with Alex. He's definitely like the Japan Sting for sure. It would be, I think it would, it would have been interesting to see that clash in the Japan part of NWO and New Japan, but I definitely would like to keep him out of the NWO.
Yep. I think we all feel the same way. And I think a lot of people probably would. I think a lot of people would also agree that that man's had a hell of a career and deserves a Caribbean vacation for 4 days in the spring. So just saying, if anybody knows, I guess the fall is the next available slot, but just saying, throwing it out there.
Perfect for Halloween.
Exactly. Don't get me started, because the first cruise let us off on Halloween in South Beach, and that was fantastic. All right, let's get back on track here. We are going to another international superstar. He was the Hulk Hogan of Mexico when he came into WCW, and he was a big part of bringing in some major luchador names that we all know and love today, like Eddie Guerrero, like Rey Mysterio, K-Dog himself, Conan. So, NolerBear, how you feel?
I think I'd like to see Conan stay in there, especially like what you've already said, just that aspect of the luchadors and being able to provide something a little bit more, a little bit different into the NWO.
Okay, Jeff?
I'm going to go with NolerBear, and I'm going to say yes. I kind of like that aspect as well. And I just kind of thought Conan was kind of misunderstood, I guess, by a lot of people, I feel like, when he was singles and doing this thing, because just people didn't know and didn't kind of have everything about him and weren't able to see his stuff. So I think it gave him a lot more traction being with them than when he was by himself. Even though he really didn't need it per se, I just think he needed it with the audience. So I'm going to say yes.
I'm going to go with a yes, too. I think he's one of these guys that the NWO helped bring out of his shell. He was a bit of the road dog for a while there, where we could count on his 2-minute shtick at the beginning of a match. And the NWO gave him a chance to capitalize on what he was already doing in Mexico, because even though we share borders, well, some of us do, not NolerBear and I, but it's I think that the American audience as a whole probably didn't get a chance to see him too much and what was going on, and he really capitalized. As good old JR likes to say, he maximized his minutes. Alex, how you feeling about K-Dog?
I really didn't like him in the black and white at all. It didn't fit him, I don't think. He had that more renegade style. But for Wolfpack, 100%. Like, when there was that counter to the NWO, sure. But if we're doing black and white, I'm saying no.
Right. Jason?
Yeah, I totally agree with Alex. It didn't do anything for me. It didn't tickle my fancy.
I kind of lumped mine together, so I'm sorry. I should have maybe said that too. I took the Wolfpack and black and white together when I did my Conan vote. So
yep.
I kind of put him in because of that. So
yeah, and absolutely, that's a fair point, because we do have to look at this as well. But it comes down to, as we all know, because we just had an election up here in BC as well, you got to check that box sometimes, right? And sometimes when you vote, it's the one you're most willing to admit fucked you at the end of the night. It's like leaving the bar when the lights come on. Anyways, let's get back to what we're talking about here. So Conan is in, and Alex is absolutely right. In Black and White, he didn't get that chance. When they pulled him over to the Wolfpack, that's where he did maximize those minutes. And that's where everybody could count on doing the sing along with talent. He was one of the early adopters, like the Road Dogg Jesse James, and like The Rock himself. So, anyways, we got Conan on another split boat. I'm so glad I got 5 people for this, because boy howdy. Let me see here. Okay, I'm going to pair these two up, because to me, at this stage in this career, they are a pair. Where one went, so went the other. Curt Hennig and Rick Rude in the NWO. At this point, Rick's career is wound completely down. He's got a back injury. He's taken a big payout from the insurance company, so he's not supposed to be taking bumps or doing anything. And so he's basically holding the briefcase for. So now we have a second member of the NWO that was doing that. Yes, Jason.
I would like to separate them, only for the reason that, Hennig at least was an active wrestler, and Rick Rude definitely added something. So if I may,
okay.
I would like to keep it separate.
I'm good with that.
Let's keep it separate. Let's keep it separate then. So we'll start with Curt Hennig. I'm going no. I think it would have been better if they had kept him in the Horseman. The shock factor of closing the cage door was cool. It's one of the few moments in WCW we can all go back to, but I think they needed more talent on the other side. So I'm a big no for Mr. Perfect. Jason, you want them separated? What's up?
Yeah, I mean, that turn, he would have been perfect in the Horseman. Yeah, that turn was definitely shocking, but for the storyline, I don't know. And he just got buried in the NWO. I mean, Curt Hennig is Mr. Perfect. I mean, he's tremendous talent, and he just got buried. He basically got like a mid-card version in the NWO. So yeah, I'm gonna say no.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, so we're 0-2 for Curt. He was not in the best of health at this point either. He's coming off a back injury. Alex?
The turn was shocking because the turn didn't work for me. It didn't make any sense. I was like, okay, you turned, but why? Like you didn't make. I don't know. I would say no. He could have stayed Team WCW, stayed Mr. Perfect, wrecked some NWO folk for sure.
Okay, and that's so. Curt sounds like we'd rather see him outside, but let's see if Jeff has an argument for keeping him in the NWO or whether he's on the same page. Nope. 4-0. 4, just a big no. Yeah, I don't think much else needs to be said there. I like your.
No.
He went full Silent Bob on us, folks that aren't watching the YouTube stream. NolerBear, how do you feel?
I definitely agree with Jason. Like to bury Mr. Perfect, that was heartbreaking to see for sure.
Yep, I think Jason hit the nail on the head. He took a new job and found out it was worse than the old one. So, I mean, lots of us have been there. All right, so Jason, give us your Rick Rude take.
Yeah, so that's why I wanted to separate it, because I think he's in, because he added that cool. I mean, he's Rick Rude, ravishing Rick Rude. He added that cool factor. Yeah, he didn't wrestle, but he didn't have to do anything. He just stood there, and he was on the tape Raw and was live on Nitro. I mean, how badass is that? So for me, Rick Rude is a yes.
And didn't he do an ECW appearance the same week as well?
Mm-hmm.
So he got the trifecta in there. So I mean, that was pretty cool. I've heard some really fun Rick Rude stories over the years on different podcasts. Yeah, Alex, how you feeling about ravishing?
Didn't need him in there. There were too many men already, and if there's too many people for somebody to just stand there and do nothing, no.
Mm-hmm. Jeff?
Ooh, let's see. I liked him in there for certain points, kind of like what Jason said with, being that guy there and doing some cool stuff, because he was pretty much like you said too, kind of down to the end of not being able to work or do anything else. I kind of, in a way, hate to see that, just because, it kind of reminded me all the time. So I'm going to say no, just because it kind of reminded me of the down, like the ending of everything. And he was just kind of there. He did add something. I don't feel like it was quite enough.
Okay. NolerBear?
I like him in the NWO. And I know that was Yeah, it was before he was in the original D-Generation X as well. So it's fun to see him a part of both factions for sure.
Yeah, I mean he does have that potential of being in both displays at the Hall of Fame, doesn't he? Much and not a whole lot of guys could. Well, actually, that's not true. 3 guys can say that, but we'll get to the other one in a little bit. I'm going to go no because Rick Rude is somebody I would put on the. Yeah, I know. I'm going to go because I would put Rick Rude on the other side. He is what I would build a better 4 horsemen around in the JJ Dillon role.
Ooh,
That's
I
awesome.
would
I like that.
keep Henning, Flair, and Benoit together with Rick Rude in that JJ Dillon role, and have that faction that can go against this ever growing NWO army, because Rick Rude also had a reputation of not to be fucked with. So that's somebody on the outside of the ring that will wrap that briefcase around your head just as easily as, Eric Bischoff might. So it's Jason's not happy with me right now, but that's okay. We'll find another reason for him to not be happy with me later. One of our shortest stints in the NWO ended in tragedy with the death of Louis Spicolli, but he would spend some time seconding Scott Hall as he was making his transition out of ECW. Louis Spicolli. I just got to go. No, I didn't see enough of his work. I didn't see where they were going with it. NolerBear, you're shaking your head. What do you want to add to that?
I agree. Just definitely didn't see enough of it for sure.
Yep. Jeff?
Same, kind of the same thing for me. Looked and you blinked type deal. I just didn't quite get that build up or give that information. So I'm gonna have to say no.
Jason?
Yeah, I think it was only a month before he passed away. I mean, it could have turned into something special. I think he was a very underrated talent. Watching him in ECW, but yeah, I mean, no, I have to say no, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was exactly a month to the day. January 15th, he joined. February 15th, he passed away. So, Alex, any saving grace for Mr. Spicoli here?
No, I'm mirroring everybody else. Like, even as an ECW kid, I didn't know too much about Louis Spicolli to even bring in, who this guy is, what is he bringing to the NWO. So I'm going to say no.
Right, fair enough. One of the more controversial late changes in the game, the American Dream, baby, Dusty Rhodes, spent a little bit of time in a red leather jacket, wandering around the ring behind everybody else. I got a rant on this one, but we're gonna say it. Jason's got his hand up. Go, buddy.
Do it.
Tag him in.
Terrible. It was just forced and terrible. I mean, it wasn't that was he put in the storyline by creative, or did he force his way in because he wanted to be hip again, just like he did in the old Rocket territory? But it was just so forced and terrible that, God, no.
Yep. I agree. It just seemed like Dusty had the power to try and be cool again. Didn't work for me. So we're 0-2. Jeff, what's going on? You're chuckling away.
Nope.
Nope.
I love Dusty Rhodes, but not that particular version.
Right. Alex, anything?
That didn't work for me, brother.
And finally, NolerBear.
It's a big goose egg for me, for sure.
Sorry, Dusty.
Yeah, I mean, Dusty did a lot of things, but when it comes to this, I'm going to have to go to the old Ren and Stimpy show. No, sir, I don't like it. Okay, so we are really getting into some interesting names here. Coming over from the WWE, Brian Adams, Crush. Wow. To me, this is an example of they just needed a guy to bounce around. They didn't have anything to do with. I'm going to say no, Brian Adams. He needed time before he found a last ditched effort with Chronic, but this was wow, no for me. No Bear.
I agree with you. I think yeah, just a no for me.
Alex?
He felt like big man light on NWO. You know, it was like Kevin was the big guy, and then Brian Adams was big man light. And like, no, I actually liked him with Brian Clark a lot more. So no.
And unfortunately, it's one of those fillers that had to be there because I don't think Clark was doing much either. Jeff, anything extra to add to this? Nope. You're just
Nope.
shaking his head,
I'll
and
say
that's
no.
and Jason's waving it off. So like that's so Brian Adams, unfortunately,
God rest
you
his
know,
soul.
Brian Adams is going to end up on the other side. He's going to be one of the guys that gets bounced around by the NWO until Sting drops from the rafters. Here's an interesting one. This is, I wouldn't say he came out of his shell for this one, but I did not recognize this human being when he debuted for the NWO. I didn't like the fact that he stole the stunner from Stone Cold, even though I wasn't a Stone Cold fan at the time. The Disciple, Brutus the fucking Barber Beefcake, with a body transformation that is astounding to anybody that followed his career. It took me months before I realized who it was. Jeff, you had an immediate reaction there. I can see you rolling and laughing. What's going on in your head?
Oh, just yeah, same kind of thing. It took a minute to kind of figure out who it was because he really did transform himself. But at the same time, no,
Yeah.
I don't need the Disciple. They already had their bump guys and everybody else. So I
Yeah.
mean, he did a couple cool things, but no, I didn't need him.
Yeah, NolerBear?
Yeah, I definitely agree with Jeff. It just, yeah, like I love Brutus, but I don't think he needs to be in NWO.
No. It's a big waving it off. Jason, how do you feel? You're going to give the barber a little love?
No, of course not. I mean, if it wasn't for Hogan, he wouldn't have gotten his job. Number one, and number two, that whole angle with the Warrior that it was kind of like a gay like erotic. I just can't even describe it. It was terrible. So yeah, no.
Yeah, I think I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of discussion on that. It is notorious, much like Jimmy Hart. He was part of what has been known as the Hogan tax, coming from people that have signed Hulk Hogan's paychecks. So, yeah, the heel referee Nick Patrick. Like, come on, guys. Alex, go.
Ooh.
I had a thing for the Disciple.
Yeah, okay, go.
When I was looking into this morning, I did have a moment, but like if they actually made him a disciple of like Hogan was trying to teach him this is how you lead people for like the future of the NWOs kind of thing, that would have been cool. But like they didn't do anything with him. So like aside from him looking really great, still a no. But they could have
Yeah.
done something and made him an actual disciple and like worked on the future of the stable through him.
Yeah, you know what? That's a very valid point. He was a veteran. He had stuff done. He had a reputation. He wasn't unpopular. Like Brutus was strutting and cutting up until his facial injury, and then the popularity kind of fell off. I think NolerBear has a good buddy that ran the wrong side of Brutus Beefcake a couple years ago before the cruise and boarded a couple of pounds later. But yeah, you got a good point. There was something there, almost like a Solo Sokoa thing that they're doing now, where they could have built around that. But yeah, much like WCW, they just dropped the ball again, kicked it down the
Missed
street.
opportunity.
Yeah, I could agree with that. Speaking of missed opportunities, one of the most decorated tag team wrestlers. Oh no, sorry, Nick Patrick.
Yep, hold on.
Did we skip it or did I repress it? We'll never know. Nick Patrick, the heel referee. I mean, he's running around in black and white anyways, right? So let's just it's another version of the corrupt authority. But yeah, it's just it's too much of a dead giveaway to have that corrupt ref. Once you've revealed it, then that whole thing is over for me. So I'm going to go no with Nick Patrick personally. NolerBear?
I mean, if they played it off a little bit better, I think if they built the story of like actually having the corrupt referee, but without actually showing it, I think Nick Patrick would have been would have been perfect. So for that, like future, like, sorry, um, like just booking wise, like I would love to see him in the NWO just for that aspect of like dreaming of coming up with storylines.
Okay. All right. That's fair. So we're 1-1. Jeff, what do you think?
I'm gonna say like an honorable mention for him because for the visual and for kind of the overall, like you saw a group picture of him, and you saw him in our group with his referee shirt on and shit, maybe an NWO hat or something. It does kind of help play that look. They got, Bischoff, look, they got a ref, look, they got, this, they got that. I think it kind of does that. Oh, you got your international, you got your, Lucha Libre. I think for that part, I give it an honorable mention, but overall, no.
Okay, Jason?
Yeah, I'm
I
going to
can see
screw
the thought.
Alex and say yes but I will add something. I think, yeah, like to piggyback Jeff, yeah, it added like you had the power figure. Now you have the evil referee, but I think number one, Nick Patrick did his job very well. I think he was definitely underrated figure, but it also added a different layer to the storyline. So for those reasons, and to screw Alex, I will say yes.
Buy him a drink first, good Lord.
I'll buy him a drink on the ship, of course.
There you go.
Mm.
All right,
So
Alex, break the tie, buddy.
I'm the tiebreaker for Nick Patrick. Go me.
Yep.
I mean, I like what Jeff said. Like, it makes sense as far as like you have the corruption going in all these places, and now you have your own referee. Like, wonderful. That makes sense. But to your point, Matt, it was the obviousness hurt of just like we wanted maybe like a sleeper cell kind of referee that we didn't know that was in on it. So with Jeff, I'm gonna say honorable mention, yes, but overall, no.
All right, so Nick is not going to make the cut. I think had they been able to do the original plan, which was a proper brand split, and have the NWO on one show and WCW on the other, it was a good seed to have planted. But I still got to go. No, I do like the sleeper elements. I just think if they had played it out a little better, I'd probably be a yes personally.
Yep.
But I think they do a thing that's very common in wrestling these days is they paid it off too quick.
Mm.
And it didn't build for us. Granted, I think most of us remember back when the WWE storylines ran a year because there's only 4 pay-per-views. So I think with younger fans, it may be different. I think this is one of the first rush it through, get it done. Well, what do we do with him now? Right. All right, let's see here. So one half of the most decorated tag team in WCW history, which is interesting because both these guys did end up wearing the colors. Stevie Ray, when Booker T was on fire, Stevie Ray didn't have a whole lot left to do, so he was in the NWO. Let's go with Jeff. How you feel about this one, buddy?
I'm gonna go no. I feel like he was kind of forced in there to do just to kind of split and add some different stuff. I mean, I could kind of get it, but then wasn't he also the leader of the B team NWO?
Yes, he
or
was.
something? Oh man.
Yeah, when they just flat out gave up and decided just to call it the B team. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I am going to give him an honorable mention, yes, for being a leader of a group of it, but overall, no. So,
all right.
Yeah, no.
Jason, you had some big reactions there, buddy. What's on your mind?
Yeah, what was it, the slapjack or something he used?
Yep. The slapjack.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to make Booker T a star. We got to do something with Stevie Ray. What can we do with him? Throw him in the NWO like we did everybody else. So, yeah, I mean, he added something to it for sure. But as far as a member, I'll say no.
Yep. NolerBear?
I definitely agree with Jeff and Jason. I think like he definitely added something, but I don't think he needs to be an NWO.
And all right, Alex, you got anything positive to say about this?
No,
We're getting a
No, I liked Harlem Heat way too much, and NWO didn't need Stevie Ray. Stevie Ray didn't need NWO.
Mhm.
Him and Booker could have rough shot some tag team matches against the NWO a little bit more. No.
Yeah, I gonna go no. We got a couple on the fence votes here, but Stevie Ray's clearly not going to make our list. Yeah, it did feel forced. It felt like, oh shit, he's healthy and his brother is absolutely killing it over here in the U.S. and TV title picture. What are we gonna do? So it was okay. Put him in the back of the class with the rest of them. He's a big dude, and the best storyline you have is to give this 300+ pound badass a weapon.
And a B team.
I would be.
Yeah.
I this is gonna fall right like my Mike Tyson story, where I met Iron Mike and people would go, "Oh, did you bite your ear off?" I'd be happier if he bit my ear off. In this case, I'd be happier if Stevie Ray hit me with it, because if he hit me with his fist, I am going to need a caretaker for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I'll take the slap
So-
jack, please.
Yeah, right.
Another missed opportunity.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
Didn't he leave in '99 to go back with Booker to do a Harlem Heat little kind of last run?
He
Wasn't that-
did, and that also ended up with Big T, Ahmed Johnson, in the fold as well, and that
There you go.
yeah, and and Stevie did sort of wind down his career not too far after that as well. I don't think he was under contract when WCW was sold, but I'm not 100% sure. He
Okay.
clearly has not done a whole lot on the main stage until his Hall of Fame induction. But yeah, I think it's one of those guys that he just didn't break out of the shell. He wasn't able to do the Conan, the Buff Bagwell, or the other guy. All right, so in the Hogan tax category, with our best example of nepotism in professional wrestling, Horace Hogan. Big dude. There was some potential there. At least it looked like. What do you think about Horace Hogan, Alex?
I don't think about Horace Hogan at all. Pass. 0.
I'm gonna take that as a just go wait in catering with beefcake. Jason?
Yeah, I try not to remember him. So yeah, that's a no.
NolerBear?
I agree already. Just a no. I definitely try not to remember for sure.
Jeff, you're not around. I got the double thumbs down.
Nope.
RVD's not on this one, but it's those need to be a little further. So yeah, Horace Hogan. It's just, I don't know if he only looked like he had potential, or he was pigeonholed, or what was going on there, but he was just there to be a rubber ball, it seemed, which is unfortunate because he was a big dude.
Mhm.
But big dude doesn't often mean successful in professional wrestling. So our second NWO referee, the greatest referee name in the history of professional wrestling, with Aubrey Edwards' girl Hebner being a close second, Mark Slick Johnson. Do we need Slick Johnson in the NWO as a heel referee? Rebooting the Nick Patrick thing?
No.
Jason shaking his head, Jeff shaking his head. You got any comments, Alex or Noel?
Who?
Yeah. No, that was a Jim Neidhart thing. Right? NolerBear, anything at all? I mean, you're just shaking your head. Okay, so we're just I
Yeah.
told you some of these would be easy. So no Slick Johnson in the NWO. And he would go on to be, a decent referee throughout the years, and TNA really capitalized on having him, especially with his name, because it makes me chuckle because I'm basically 13 years old.
Yep. At heart, we all are.
Okay. So now we're getting into the era of. Hold on, I just realized I do not have a massive name on this list.
2 of them.
Yeah,
I wanted to
I've been
bring up.
waiting. I've been waiting for 2 Scots.
Hey, thank you. Exactly what I was thinking as well.
That is one of the ones that I have on my list as it, for some reason, not here. So let's do both Scots. Scott Norton, to me, belongs in the NWO because he is that badass enforcer you stick on the outside or you send in to just destroy somebody. He was the Solo Sikoa role for those of you listening that are a little younger. Mr. Do Not Fuck With. I'm a big yes on Scott Norton. Alex, you were waiting for two Scotts.
So before I met you, Matt, I would have said no. But you have sold me throughout the years of knowing you on Scott Norton, and I'm gonna say yes because he is that big scary man, and I'm gonna also put him up in Japan with Chono. Like keep that NWO Japan going, beat some people up, and that's exactly what we need in the NWO. So Scott Norton, yes.
Yep, Scott Flash Norton. Jeff, you're nodding along. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I agree. He lasted actually for quite some time as well with the different, incarnations and split and whatever else. And he was that imposing figure that fucking whoops some ass. So
Yep.
yeah, I'm going to say yes.
NolerBear?
I definitely agree. I mean, to have that enforcer, that big guy, that massive guy, it's just like, yeah, it was needed for sure.
And Jason.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be the lone wolf here, and I'll give you my reasons why. I
Okay.
mean, no storyline for it, no character development. He had no personality. Yes, badass without a doubt, 100%. B team, yes. New Japan, NWO, yes, but I'm gonna have to say no.
Yeah, and fair enough. For anybody out there listening that is going, Scott, who? I highly recommend get on your YouTube, get on your WWE network or wherever they have it down in the States at this point. I don't even know what you guys have going on. Scott Norton versus Chris Benoit from Nitro. They hooked it up 3 or 4 times, and they just beat the hell out of each other. And when you see the imposing figure of Scott Norton looking down at Chris Benoit, you think, oh, big truck squash little truck. No, sir. No, sir. So, all right, we got Scott Norton. Let's go to the other one. This is the guy. This is the guy that benefited the most from the NWO. He's coming with us on the cruise. Big Papa Pump, Scotty Steiner. Jeff, you also were missing the two Scotts there, so to start us off.
Yeah, I kind of thought he benefited a lot from this too when it got that split from the Steiners because he just really wasn't able to kind of be on his own, I guess, in certain ways. He kind of needed that help, kind of like we talked about earlier when DiBiase left to go be with the Steiners. So I think they kind of needed that. So I kind of see him in there when I visualize it, the NWO. I do kind of see him in there. So yeah, I'm going to say yes.
Okay, so that's 2 for big Scotty Steiner. Let's keep going some Steiner math here and see how this. Jason, you got a big old grin on your face. Talk to me, brother.
Yeah, I mean, look how much it propelled him. I mean, it made him a main eventer. The NWO did so much for him, and he did so much for the NWO. And he still has that look today that was created when he joined the NWO. So, yeah, he's in.
NolerBear.
Yeah, like I think like just going off of what Jason said, just like what Scott Steiner did for NWO and NW did for him, like it's like for me it's a no-brainer to keep him in there for sure.
All right, Alex, you gonna dissent on us or?
I want to because it would be really fun to have the Steiner brothers together against the NWO and have a Scott Steiner versus Scott Norton enforcer match. That would have been a fun moment, but from everyone saying, where he's at, yeah, I mean, it fit him. He exploded from the NWO, so sure.
Yeah, so 5-0. He was one of the ones I didn't really expect to have a whole lot of dissent on because I mean, so much confidence in his TV character came not just from him, but from the fans and even guys like Eric Bischoff and Kevin Sullivan. I said, yeah, no, when he'd made that turn, it's hard pulling a tag team guy apart because you don't know who's gonna fly and who's gonna sink. It's the old Sean and Marty conundrum. But we've saw it with Harlem Heat. This was an era where they were splitting up a lot of tag teams. They even split up the Outsiders. Like Harlem Heat split, Steiner's split. the American males split, and so it was a real shuffling of the deck. But yeah, like Jason said, he's still Big Papa Pump. He's still bleaching his hair. He's, from what I've heard, maybe not one to be messing around with. When you may just want to be very polite to him. Okay, where are we? It's okay. So we're getting into the NWO Red and Black era. So we got a couple of names here. This was my favorite. I was talking with Alex. This is probably the best theme song WCW ever produced that they didn't buy. I still on my Spotify list today. Lex Luger joining Randy Savage and Kevin Nash and Conan in the Red and Black. How did that sit with you guys? NolerBear?
I really enjoyed it. I mean, just his figure itself. I think like having him with those guys that you just mentioned, it just like for me, visually for me, it really fit.
Okay, we got a yes for Mr. Luger. Jason?
I'd like to just start off with a caveat that I did not like the NWO Wolfpack. I understand why they had to do it. They had so many members in black and white that they had to do it. I did not like it. So, you know, I'm going to have to say no for Luger.
No for Luger. All right. Jeff?
I'm going to go with same, and I'm going to say no. Kind of the same thing. I kind of picture him always being on the other side of that equation, not in the NWO equation. And with him being in the Wolf Pack, they were trying to make them the baby faces. So kind of that same thing. I don't necessarily count that. So, yeah, I'm going to say no on Luger.
Okay. Now I'm going to put Alex on the spot and make him be a tiebreaker again, because I'm going to go yes, because he always struck me as a better heel and not such a great talker when he's drawn the L across his throat every time back in the day. Thank you, Tony Schiavone's podcast, What Happened When, for showing me all of those clips in a row. Fantastic. I just think he needed something better to do. He was always a better sort of a arrogant heel to me.
But wait,
so I'm going to keep him.
I want to add something to, and maybe I'll change your mind, Matt. They were baby faces, basically, the NWO Wolfpack, if memory serves correctly.
Yeah.
So does that make him a heel if he's with a babyface team?
You know what? It's weird because you have a good point. If he's with a babyface team, and for a while he was doing all the babyface moves, but it just seems so disingenuous to me to have him in that role. I've always felt he was better as the arrogant heel. You got a really good point there. No, I'm still going to make Alex break the tie on this one.
Well, that's why I said it too, because I was like the same thing. I'm like, well, technically he was a baby face, even though he was kind of doing, that mid-range stuff of being both,
And yeah, he was the other guy in the ring that fateful night when Hogan came out, right? So he was there from the beginning. I just think.
Have you ever seen Lex Luger do this? Is that the most insane, I'm trying to think of the right word, but the most insincere thing I've ever seen. It just
like Orange Cassidy, Cassidy doing it.
Yeah, it just does not seem natural. It seemed forced. I don't know.
You have a really good point. That's also a good point. Maybe it's just that guy that you can't. I just can't see him on the other side going against the big evil NWO. But there's a lot of good points there. This is like a 51-49 for me right now. Alex, it's 50-50.
So, Matt, I didn't really see Lex Luger too much as a heel because I was, I guess, too young to see him as the narcissist, maybe. So to me, Lex Luger was always the big face WCW guy, and like he took down the NWO next to Sting and everything like that. And the NWO Wolfpack to me were again those renegade guys. And when I hear the word renegade, the last thing I think of is Lex Luger. Like that did not work for me at all. I want him on Team WCW. I want him to wreck everybody all by himself. He doesn't need a team. Look at him. He's the total package. No.
All right. So Lex is out. All righty. And you know what? That probably would have kept him away from Elizabeth too, but we won't get into that. Here's the guy. I am such a hard no on this one. I am such a hard no. Sting.
Please,
Woo.
please let me say something. The
Oh,
guy
get
looked
it.
like a fucking tomato. I mean,
Thank you.
God almighty, it just did not fucking work. Please, force, terrible, terrible.
Put him
I'll
on
see
the
you.
no.
Yeah.
Put him
So
on the
Jeff,
no.
you're going no.
Definitely
Yeah.
no.
He is team WCW. I mean, come on. How long was it? No.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about you forcing some other guys into the black and white earlier because there's nothing better to do with them. Sting to me was forced into the NWO. It's like, we don't know what to do with them now. It's like nothing. Just leave them be. NolerBear, you're shaking your head. I'm taking your no. Got any thoughts on this?
Just say while all of you were chatting there, just a good definite no for me as well.
Yeah. And Alex.
I was a huge Sting kid, and to me, I'm sorry, it worked for me. Like, to me, Sting maybe should have made a group of help me fight these guys
Oh, you're
finally, someone. And
Mhm.
who is more renegade in WCW than Sting, the guy standing against everything? So,
Mhm.
should he have changed his face paint to red? No, that did look bad. Did I have a blast watching it? Absolutely. I'm going to say yes, that was really fun.
All right. So we got a dissenting vote here. I didn't not like his work in the NWO because it's Sting. I just, yeah, the face. Oh God, the face paint.
The face paint.
Hey, I'm old school. I like Bleach Bronze Surfer Sting. That was my favorite still.
I can get behind that.
That's my favorite of all time.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. I can definitely get behind that. All right, moving along. Oh my God, I forgot this guy had joined the NWO for a brief period in the red and black section. Disco Inferno. This is another bouncing ball to me. I think you could have put him in the prospect category with Vincent. I'm going no with this one. Disco is just no on Disco. Jeff, you're chuckling along.
Nope.
Yep. NolerBear, how you feeling?
I agree. Big no.
Yeah. Jason, you're shaking your head. You just did. Yeah. No, done. Shaking your head, waving it off. Alex, you don't look any more impressed.
No, that was bad.
Yeah. And Disco, a fine career of trying to wedge himself into the cool groups. Because don't forget, he also tried with the Filthy Animals. So Disco, a big no.
I'll tell you what, though, him dancing with Alex Wright was fun for a few weeks. That's all I'll say.
I'd have left that alone, and then
that's right.
Maybe add Norman Smiley down the road.
Yes.
But
dance party team or something. That'd be great.
We need those teams like the Fashion Police. We need those comedy highlight teams that are capable of putting on a good match. Outrunners.
Yeah.
Right. I take the Outrunners a lot more seriously than I took the Fashion Police or Disco and Alex. But yeah, I just think he's one of those guys that just didn't work. This one bothers me to a great extent. Not just the 3 years he spent in WCW, but the fact that he could have been one of those guys standing with Sting. He could have had a faction standing there with the Horsemen and against the NWO with his own group of guys and Sting in the middle. Bret the Hitman Hart. And they played pussyfoot with him. Is he in? Is he not? Is he in? Is he not? And he did end up technically in, but injuries and personal tragedies and yeah. And then the Silver and Black. I'm a big no for Bret Hart. I love me some Bret. I'm wearing a make the sharpshooter a finish again hat right now. But NWO Bret does not work, brother. Jeff?
Agreeance doesn't work, brother. Definitely felt like he should have been another side guy.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, then
Nope.
yeah. Oh no, you're good.
Yeah. Alex, anything on this one?
No, I mean at the time he was totally a Team WCW guy. It made no sense for him to go NWO for me. It's a no.
Jason, I know
I'll
you.
just
I know
say-
you like to rag on Canadians, so go for it.
What, me?
Don't make me bring up our group chat.
Just terrible, terrible, terrible booking. I mean, come on. What a just stupid decision. It's a big no.
Yeah. Okay. It doesn't sound like NolerBear is going to add anything different to this one, but I would like our other Canadian panelist to give me his thoughts on this. Come on, champ.
No, I definitely saw him as Team WCW for sure. Like right there along with Sting. So it's a big no for me.
Yeah. So yeah, Brett, yeah, something better to do. Especially, I mean, you came in with or 3/4 of your previous group. I mean, they could have very easily had something where they're working along with the Horsemen, which then fighting the Horsemen or Ravens Flock or the NWO. I mean, Bulldog and Anvil just they were part of the Brett tax on that one. I think. Much like Beefcake and Jimmy Hart and a few other guys, sometimes your top star comes with conditions. And unfortunately, it did lead to the Bulldog and Anvil not doing much. Bulldog getting hurt that one time, Brett getting kicked in the head. Won't discuss that here today. Okay, so while we're in the silver and black, oh my God, does this get bizarre?
Well, this was the Vince Russo era, so of course it does.
Yeah,
for half of this silver and black, that's Russo.
Yeah.
I mean, my
Now
votes are no.
Your votes are no. Jeff Jarrett, Double J. I'm a big no. Yeah, Jeff's a big no.
Nope.
Anybody want to give Jeff some love here? Jarrett, that is. No, Alex looks
I hate
like
him. I hate him so much. I hate him. Double J equals FF. Fast forward. Bye. Like, I just want to see him smash the guitar on my TV.
right?
Yeah.
Give somebody a guitar necklace. I'm happy. I used to be the same way, but I started listening to his podcast, and he's just really, really good at his job.
And that's fine.
Really good at his job.
And that's fine. But
behind the scenes, very smart, very business wise, excellent podcast. I will say that. But as far as on screen, no charisma. Fast forward.
Yeah, NolerBear, anything on this? Gonna give Jeff some love?
I mean, I like for his job, he did it really well, and I loved him for that. But for NWO, it's a big no.
Yeah, I think he's one of those guys you could have put over in the Horsemen. Yeah, unfortunately, Jeff was doing the hokey pokey with the two big companies a lot at that time, so you couldn't really build a huge story around him because he was around at the start of the NWO storyline, and he was around sort of in the tail end. He had 2 years in WWE when that was going on. Yeah, it just didn't fit. And I know he takes a tremendous amount of shit from Conrad Thompson on his podcast about that and about being in the Horsemen. So, but I highly recommend his podcast. I really do. Like,
I second that. He's got a good attitude. He takes it in stride. He knows it. If you want to hear like behind the scenes and the business behind the business, excellent podcast.
Yeah, and
shockingly good.
Yeah, he did it because it's not just in-ring stuff, it's also building company as an ownership. It's creative. Like, he did so many aspects in his career and has that old school story when he's telling it about his grandmother and his dad running promotions. So it is fantastic, but Jeff Jarrett is not fantastically part of this NWO.
Not to interrupt, but he actually owns a semi-pro baseball team in Springfield, Illinois. So,
yes, he does. The
Lucky Horseshoes.
That's the one.
Lucky Horseshoes.
Yes,
he's had Bischoff, and he's had Nash and Bischoff, and a few different guys show up to do some specialty nights that he'll put around pro wrestling. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, and I think he's another one that works very hard for his money and deserves a vacation.
Well, and he's in with that investor group, and they own all types of different sports teams and little different businesses and whatnot. So he's got a nice little business group going.
Yeah, he does, and that just to me, we need to give him 4 days off.
Wait, and
You know
one
what I
other
mean?
thing,
Yeah.
he does have Karen Angle. Just saying.
Yeah, that's
He's
he's
not
doing
doing too
something
bad.
really right.
No,
Like yeah, yeah. Yep. He's one of those guys, much like a David Flair or a Billy Kidman. You just look at him and it's like, you may be the coolest person in the world, but I fucking hate you.
it's a good thing you mentioned David Flair too, because I had him on my notes for the NWO Elite era.
Yes,
So.
he's coming.
Okay.
He's
All
on the
right.
list.
Okay.
We're gonna. I'm gonna leave these two as a tag team. Jason, you're not talking me out of this. The Harris twins, Ron and Don Harris. I think take those two boys, go do something else. I'm a big no on the Harris twins. I know they had a shockingly long career. I know a little controversy has followed them around since then, but yeah, big no on the Harris twins. Anybody?
Nope.
Didn't they have like a Nazi tattoo or something?
Yeah. There was some indications that maybe they have some unfriendly ideas towards
friends.
others.
Yeah, some unfriendly friends possibly too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They did win the tag belts twice though.
That's true. I mean, they weren't an unskilled team. If you look at their careers, they were in WWE. They had decent runs. They had a couple of them, part of as the Blue Twins and with the big afros, and as the Disciples of Apocalypse. But yeah, I mean, you could almost redo the Disciples of Apocalypse, throw them over with Brian Adams. But big no. NolerBear, you're nodding along.
Yeah, I agree. Like all that you said, no for me.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's got anything extra to add on these two. Sorry, boys. Medeja, Scotty Steiner's valet, I guess, in an era where WCW was clearly trying to find their own China. Yeah, I think Scotty Steiner's valet was better as Buff Bagwell, personally. That's where I'm going. I'm going Medeja, no. Jeff, you're chuckling along.
No.
NolerBear shaking his head. You're a big no.
Big no.
Jason, you were chuckling.
Yeah, I'll just add this. I mean, obviously it's a no, but she had a look. You know, there was definitely some potential there, but it just didn't go anywhere. But
yeah, I think she was a victim of, and in sort of the later years of WCW, they had a lot of female talent that they just never really capitalized on. Alex, anything? Are you going to talk us into Medeja here?
Actually, by this time, I think I flipped the channel to WWF by that time, so I don't even know what that is. So no.
Well, Google
Fair.
it. See how that works out for you.
Oh boy.
I'm interested to hear from you later on about that. All right, let's get to him. The son of the Nature Boy. David Flair had a cup of coffee as Rick was sort of opposing the NWO. Jeff, you brought him up a few minutes ago. Tell us about David.
Yeah, because you're right. What, 3 months he was in there, and didn't he bring Tori Wilson with him? Wasn't that his girl at the time? I feel like.
Yeah, David.
How about I do this? I will say no to David Flair and yes to Tori Wilson.
Wouldn't we all?
Exactly, Alex. Exactly. So I'm going to say no.
Yep. Alex, you're the same thing. We're voting Tori Wilson in. We're voting David Flair out.
She's my honorable mention.
Yeah, David Flair didn't need it. I mean, I saw a few of his matches. He did well, in my opinion, of like taking bumps he definitely shouldn't have taken and everything. But like as far as the New World Order of Wrestling, no.
Jason, anything to add to this?
Just no.
Just a hard no. Yeah, and NolerBear, anything on David?
I completely agree with what Alex said, but it's a no for me for sure.
Yeah, I mean, aside from not knowing where his headspace was at the time, I think David suffered from not having a proper mentor to help him through it that isn't Rick,
Hmm.
and being pushed on TV too early. I know he tried in WWE. We all saw The Undertaker beat the crap out of him before WrestleMania 18, but it to me, it just seems like he just didn't have either the full tilt mentality for it, or he just didn't have that right person to help him. And it was just too much too soon. So big no on David Flair. Okay, so here's the interesting one out of NWO Japan. We've discussed the fake Sting. What about the fake Scott Hall, the fake Razor Ramon, Big Titan Rick Bogner was NWO Japan? So I believe we discussed that, fake Sting would be okay in the Japanese version. Do we have fake Scott Hall over there? What do you think, Alex?
I've never even heard of fake Scott Hall. No.
You haven't heard of fake Razor? Well, you should look that up. That was
At the
It's
Royal
something.
Rumble, right?
It's
what's
something.
that? It's
The Royal Rumble one.
It's something.
Yep. Him and Glenn Jacobs were fake Razor Ramon, fake Diesel.
Yeah.
But they were
the fact
NWO members?
Yeah, and well, I mean, obviously Kane wasn't, but to have Rick Bogner, Big Titan, go from being fake Razor Ramon to being Big Titan in the Japanese NWO, that just tickles me. It really does. His career just sort of followed Scott along. Jeff, what do you feel about this one?
I like Big Titan as far as a lot of his different work and whatever, but he was good over in Japan as well. So he probably would have been a pretty good draw for them over there. So I'll say yes for NWO Japan.
All right.
But I don't think I can say it for NWO as a whole.
Okay, so he's he's 0-2 right now. Jason, how do you feel about Big Titan? Good Canadian kid.
I have to be honest. I mean, I heard of him, and I know of the gimmick in New Japan, but I've never seen a match. So, so I'll just have to go from name recognition just to know.
Yeah, NolerBear, anything?
I agree with Jason. Like same thing. It's the same in my eyes. So no for me.
All right. So yeah, Big Titan. Sorry, buddy. Maybe fake Scott Hall is a thing that we could throw in the other side of WCW, and then we can bounce fake Sting around, and they can bounce the fake Scott Hall around. All right. So we are getting into the WWE years. We got 3 names left on the list. I'm saving what I figure is a good one for last, but he is much earlier in the NWO colors than either of these two guys. The stupidest way to induct somebody into the NWO of all time was Eric Bischoff, or maybe it was Vince McMahon. I think it was Vince McMahon coming out and saying, Booker T is in the NWO because I say so.
Because Stevie was, I guess, huh?
You know what? I don't even know if Vince knew what a Stevie Ray or a Harlem Heat was at the time, because
Likely not.
but technically Harlem Heat, both on that NWO roster. NolerBear, what do you think? Was Booker a good idea or no?
No. I mean, like, yeah, this was the WWE era, but like to have him in NWO, I don't see it.
Okay, Alex.
I'd rather Booker T be Stang than an NWO. All right? I would rather Stang.
Yes.
So no.
What about GI Bro?
Oh my God, Stang. I think somebody sent me a clip. It might have been you of that a couple weeks ago, and I died. For those of you unaware, there was a tag team match in WCW with Booker T and Sting. So Booker decided they were going to do a thing where they were looking like a tag team, painted his face up like the Crow, and put Stang on his tights. Look it up. It happened. Wrestling is fun and wild. Jason, anything on the Booker T situation?
I just want to say, because you're going to ask me like about Shawn Michaels and whoever else, I really want to try hard to forget this ever existed. So don't even ask me moving forward. It's a no for everybody.
Okay, so you're out, definitely out on the Shawn thing. It looks like we're out on the Booker thing unanimously. So Booker is out. So one, I'm going to call it. Shawn's already down one. He's the next name on the list. I'm going to agree with Jason. Shawn, no, because it's at this point we're one member away from having the click, and they tried, and the fans were with it. And for whatever reason, Triple H just had that one encounter. He was a little injury prone around the time of this happening. I believe he had some sort of elbow deal going on. And the NWO was not long for the world. I'm out on Shawn. Jason's out on Shawn. Jeff, how do you feel about Shawn?
Out on Shawn.
Out
This
on
isn't
Shawn.
a click. Nope, not
Yep.
the click.
Yep. I mean, that's just it, right? NWO click. Nope. NWO click is where I think I'd go. NolerBear.
That's a no for me.
Yep. And yeah, Alex.
I thought it was fun. I wanted it. I wanted the click as the NWO for sure, but I'll give it a yes. He's out anyway. I'll put yes.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? And that's fair because you do bring up a good point. Shawn at the time was a couple months away from deciding to come back and do that one match at SummerSlam that would happen. Shawn joined in June, and in August it was him and Triple H at SummerSlam for that return match. NWO had broken up entirely, so he was more of an outside the ring. And I loved his intro. I was thinking about it last night, and I can still see it perfectly in my head. Kevin Nash coming out. He had a microphone. He was doing that Kevin Nash, I'm too cool to be here sort of attitude. And he said something along the lines of, a lot of people want to tell you that announcements are the biggest thing in pro wrestling every time, and it's all overhyped and anything. So here's our new member. And the crowd went fucking bonkers when it was NWO HBK and the music hit.
It was great. I just wanted one match where they just could work together all in one of like the 4 of them, 5 of them, the click. Like, I want a click match. That's what I wanted, but it never happened. And I thought it would just be fun. So,
yeah, I mean, I can feel you on that. I can understand that. To me, it was the high and low point.
Dudes with attitudes. Dudes with attitudes.
Yep. And
I just want to add something. That NWO storyline in WWE was so bad that they couldn't even have a creative way to end it. Vince McMahon just came out and said, I'm killing the NWO because I want to, or whatever the hell he said. And that's how bad it was. They couldn't even have some sort of creative way to end it. They just ended it. And it was just, thank you. Just end it. Get rid of it. It was terrible. I mean,
I think it was
the spirit of the NWO. I mean, and just like money grab, whatever you want to call it, just it was devoid of anything. So
yeah, I think a lot of the problems with that WWE storyline happened when they didn't expect Hulk Hogan to get such a good reaction. I can tell you from having been at WrestleMania 18, it was fucking bizarre to see everybody outside dressed as Hulk Hogan in March in Toronto, and it was not warm. Then Scott Hall falling off the wagon hard. Granted, I also kind of give WWE creative some blame for that because they were pouring beer on the poor guy. Like,
that was on medication for that, didn't he?
Yes. Yeah. I believe there is a story where it caused him to try and vomit, but his mouth was taped shut, so that was problematic. I think the whole story was problematic. And then just when they have a shot, they've kicked out Booker, literally kicked out Booker. We got Waltman, we got Nash, we got Shawn, we got Big Show, and Nash tears his quads, which resulted in exactly what Jason said. It was just Vince coming back out. It's like, yeah, this is done. I give up. It was the wrestling equivalent of that meme where the guy just throws all the papers off his desk and I'm done.
Yep.
And I don't blame him. It was unfortunate from the get-go. It was snake bit, as I've heard say. Okay, last name. The only celebrity I Yes, actually we could. My wife joining us, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if she's watching or just listening from the other side of the wall behind me. Yeah, I could. I think we all could. I think wrestling fans talking about bad storylines is something we could absolutely do. We will definitely get into Booker T versus Edge over a shampoo bottle at some point. The only celebrity I was willing to include on this list, early adopter of the NWO to the point where he put the Chicago Bulls championship ring on the line by skipping practice in the playoffs, Dennis Rodman.
Mhm.
How do we feel? I mean, I think Rodman was a perfect fit for it, for what they asked him to do. I think he did quite well. I'm going to go on Rodman. Jason, you're nodding along. We skipped over it, so here's our final one.
Yeah, he's in. I mean, Rodzilla skipping practice for the NWA Championship, the publicity, and when he wrestled, I mean, the look, and he wrestled. It was. I thought he did an awesome job. I mean, just look how much he brought to the NWO, and yeah, I mean, the cool factor, everything, perfect fit. Yes, he's in.
Yep. So we got 2 for the Rodzilla. Jeff?
Yes, I'm gonna be a guy that decides it. So yes, because like Jason was kind of saying, he did bring a lot to the table. He got a lot of eyes on the product. Yes, he skipped practice during the playoffs to do this. So yeah, I'm an Illinois guy. I definitely know my Bulls. So, but yeah, yes.
Not only skipped practice, he decided to go on TV that night. So it's not like he could say I was sick.
Correct.
That's
so
the
he
equivalent of calling in sick to work and then getting shown on the Jumbotron at the ball game. You're like,
he pretty much too sweeted Phil and said, "Hey, I'll be back when I'm ready."
Yeah, right. And I did mention it did put the team at risk and the rings at risk. I mean, that team was basically bulletproof to begin with, and they still got the ring that year. Alex, Rodzilla.
Absolutely, 100% in. He supports my theory of like the worldwide takeover, the Japan stuff, the referee stuff, you got your corrupt Eric Bischoff thing, and now you have a celebrity, a sports athlete that you're branching out into a different industry altogether with him. Absolutely, 100% yes.
And NolerBear.
It's a big yes for me. I mean, just like with the era of wrestling that we're talking about, it's like having these big celebrities come in, and Dennis Rodman was a huge asset to the wrestling industry for sure.
Yeah, and Jason said it. He held his own in the ring. Go, Jason. You got your
I
hand
know.
up.
I just wanted to add one more thing. Like the anti-establishment is having NWO, the spirit, and who better than Dennis Rodman?
Who better?
The Worm, baby.
Yeah,
The Worm.
and let's face it. If he wanted a valet, he had a couple of wives in there that, yep, that'll work. Yep, good for him. And yeah, I mean the whole attitude. As far as celebrities in this era, one channel had Mike Tyson coming on, and one channel had Dennis Rodman. I mean, if you want to pick 2 guys for each of those companies to have on TV that fit and worked with the product they were selling, those were it. They had a home run with Dennis Rodman, and he did a lot more work for them than anybody really did over in WWE. Maybe Pete Rose gets a bit of a nod there, but that was a whole entire thing.
Right.
Different. All right, one final question. Is there anybody that you guys can think of to add to the NWO that wasn't part of the NWO?
In WCW at the time?
You know what? You pull from wherever you want. Let's say this is the next big surprise.
I wasn't ready for this.
I just thought of it right now, so I wasn't ready either.
Usually with like questions like this, I always go the funny route and say Gilbert, but I mean, like all actual aspects of NWO, that is a hard one for me to say for sure. I'm not sure yet.
You know, I honestly I can't think of a whole lot of people at that era that would have worked. I mean, you could have added an Austin. There's always somebody going, well, what if you could have got the Undertaker out of WWE? Well, then they would have fucked up his entire character. That's to me. I think they did the best they could do. Maybe with the exception of a screw job finish in the Georgia Dome and having Goldberg join the NWO and hiding his deficiencies. Yeah, Alex and I have a very different version on of Goldberg, but I can't honestly think of anybody because Goldberg wouldn't have the cool factor.
No.
So I can't think anybody either.
I got one.
Okay.
Alex has a light bulb.
It came to me when we were talking. I totally forgot about it, but I did think of one, and I think it would be really neat to put someone like Canyon in the new world order, because when he went into the ring, there was always something new, and I felt like that's kind of what they were going for. If this is going to be a new era of wrestling with the new world order, I think Canyon would have worked well with, as the technician of an NWO member or something like that.
That's interesting because he capitalized pretty well on what he was doing with both the Flock and with DDP down the line. So I mean that he could have definitely had an earlier voice on that. Anybody had a thought on Canyon?
Interesting thought. I mean, great worker, stuff like that. I mean, if he could have got a character with it, I think it could have been something.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we've hit it up. So let me see here. On our list, we are going with Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, Hulk Hogan, Paul White, the Giant, Six, Miss Elizabeth, Eric Bischoff, Buff Bagwell, Masahiro Chono, Conan, Scott Norton, Scott Steiner, and Dennis Rodman for 13 members of the ultimate NWO squadron.
13 is a good number.
It is too.
I like that.
That's sweet. That's a sweet number.
That's oh, there we go. Jeff came prepared. I mean, Alex is rocking the merch. I got my Bret Hart hat on. Jeff had the exact number right. Oh man, we should have had a contest with that. All right, thank you, gentlemen, for joining me. Jeff, I hope you had a fun time on your first NolerBear. You got any upcoming events up there that you want to promote while we're here? So check out TAW. You can find them on YouTube. NolerBear just had a title match put up there from Yellowknife. Was it last week?
It was a few weeks ago now.
A couple weeks ago?
Our next show is, it's supposed to be our anniversary show in just a few weeks. So towards the middle to end of November, just like figuring out the actual dates of it and actually planning it out.
Nice.
Excellent. So follow TAW Wrestling, support them. They're doing some really, really cool stuff up in the Arctic Circle. And for those of you that are not paying attention to Chris Jericho's podcast, NolerBear did get a name drop on there when the owner of TAW was on the Talk is Jericho show about a week ago. So congratulations to TAW, to NolerBear, and to Dez for that big, big boost, I hope, in worldwide recognition. A few more clicks on the YouTube. Thank everybody for joining me. Alex and Jason, you guys are all stars. You're a veteran. NolerBear, your second time on the show. Absolutely love having you guys. I could talk wrestling all day, but I should go and do birthday things because
happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you so much.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Matt.
And we'll be
Thanks
back
for
in a
having me
couple of
on.
weeks with some more cheap seat booking and a panel of veterans and new people and a whole bunch of other stuff. I don't know what we're going to talk about yet, but it's pro wrestling, which means there's always something to talk about. Just remember, in all the tribalism, in all the he said, she said, in all the fake news, in all the real news, and all the releases, and all the pay-per-views, and all the companies, and all the world, on all the platforms, it's all pro wrestling, you dickheads.
Yeah, I love pro wrestling. Woo!
Oh, yeah.
Woo!
Perfect.